Solving a non-triangle using the sine law. Well, first you have to remember what the sine law looks like. So I'm going to write it here. So it looks like side, let's say side A over sine of angle A, which is opposite to sine to the side A, has to be equal to side B over sine of angle B, which is opposite to side B. And you can repeat that with any side. Side C doesn't matter. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if you look at the triangle right now, we have two sides. So we're missing this side here. It's opposite to the angle C here. So we're going to call this side side C. We have the angle A, and we're looking for angle B here and angle C here. So angle B, we know the opposite side here. So we're going to start step number one. We're going to start with this. So we know side in front of angle B. So 9 over sine of B has to be equal. And then we need to take two other ones that we know. So we know these two here. 5 is the side that is opposite. We're going to use sine of angle 31.6. Now, when we want to find our sine B, that's what we're looking for here. So we're going to do 9 times this times sine of this divided by this. So I would like you to show your work so it's clear. So you're going to write sine of B is equal to 9 sine of 31.6 divided by 5. Now you're looking for B. B is your angle here. So how do you get rid of the sine? So B is equal to sine -1. So you realize that I didn't use my calculator yet because there's no point calculating this. It's going to give me a decimal. So sine -1 of 9 sine of 31.6 over 5. So now you can take your calculator and do that. 31.6. So you find out that B is equal to so type that sine -1 of 9 sine 31.6 divided by 5. You get 70.59. Now, let's look at the angle here. Does it look like 70.59? Well, no, because it's bigger than 90 degrees. So the angle you found is actually this one here. So what you found is this angle here. So how do you find angle B, which is an obtuse angle? What you have to do, so to really find the measure of your angle B, you have to do 180 minus 70.59. So you have to be careful and always check that the angle that you get makes sense. Otherwise, it's going to be tricky, especially when it's an obtuse angle. Okay. So you know what? I'm going to round to the nearest tenth here. So 109.4 degrees. Then to find my angle C, so step number 2, I can find my angle C. I can do the same thing again, or I can, since I know in a triangle, the sum is 180, so I can find measure of angle C by doing 180 minus 31.6 minus 109.4. And for my angle C, I will get 38.9. Hold on. I get 39 actually. Okay, so 39 exactly for this angle C. All right, and so now what's left to calculate is the measure of the side AB, or measure of C here, this side. So step number 3. I can again use the sine law. In this case, I'm going to be looking for the side. So I'm going to do C. I'm looking for measure of C over sine of angle C, which is 39. That equals, and then I'm going to use the one that was given at the beginning. Okay, so the one that was given at the beginning was this one. So instead of using the one we calculated, let's try to use the one that was given. So 5 over sine of 31.6. So again, the way to show you work, so we're looking for C here. So we're going to do 5 times sine of 39 divided by sine of 31.6. So you just have to show your work like this. C is equal to 5 times sine of 39 divided by sine of 31.6. And then you take your calculator to get your answer. And you get 6. And because there's no unit, if you want, you can specify units here. So this is using the sine law. We could solve the same triangle using the cosine law. So let's look at how we would do it if we were using the cosine law. So let's use the same triangle, but using the cosine law. I wrote it down here just so you remember. So it's c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of c. What you have to remember is that the angle C is always opposite the side you're starting with here. So it doesn't matter which side you're starting, but it has to be opposite. So in your picture here, because we know the angle 31.6, we're going to start with the side that is opposite, which is our 5. So when you write down your rule, you're going to write 5 square is equal to 9 square plus, and I'm just going to write again my letter here, C. So now you realize that sometimes it's confusing like this, and in the formula in your letter, I use the letter C because it's opposite here, my side C, but it's confusing in my formula, so just be careful with that. So 5 squared is equal to 9 squared plus C squared minus 2 times 9 times C times cosine of the angle that was in front of my 5, which is 31.6. So 5 squared, well, you know that's 25. 9 squared, you know that's 81. Plus, here, well, c squared, we don't know. Here we have 2 times 9 times c cosine, so that's 18 c cosine of 31.6. Now be careful with this. At this step, some of you might be tempted to put things together. Now this here has to stay together. This is all together. It's 18 times c times cosine. You cannot mix it with anything else. Now, how do you solve an equation that has c squared and c in it? You have to remember that whenever you have something that has c squared and c, you have to make your equation equal to 0, and then you take the formula. So I'm just going to write it here for you to remember. So I wrote it down here at the bottom. So whenever you have something ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then you can use this formula. X is equal to minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So let's do this with this rule. So let's put it all together. So I'm going to start with my c square minus 18c or 18 cosine 31.6c. And then if I combine the 81 minus the 25, I'm going to get plus 56. And that is equal to 0. So now you have your A, B, C. So you have to find your C. You can write C is equal to minus B, which is 18 cosine 31.6 plus or minus square root of B squared. So again is 18 cosine 31.6 square minus 4 times A times C, and then divided by 2 times A. Okay, so here in front of your C, it's a 1, so I left it 1. So if you do that, you're going to get two values of C. So you get two answers. You get C equals 9.3 or C equals 6. Now you have to try to make sense of these two answers. If you look at the pictures, 9 here is the longest side. So can C be equal to 9.3? No, because C has to be smaller than 9. So you can eliminate this answer. So you can find your answer here. C is equal to 6. So now we're looking for angle B. So if we start again with our picture, now we know this side is 6. We're looking for angle B here. So we can use again the cosine law. If I'm looking for angle B, I'm going to have to start my rule with the opposite side. So my opposite side is 9, so I'm going to have to write 9 squared is equal to 5 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times 5 times 6 times cosine of B. Okay, so that's 81, 9 squared, that's 25 plus 36 minus 2 times 5, oops, minus 2 times 5 is 10, times 6 is 60. So I have this. Now, this is again where some of you, if you go too fast, you have to remember this sticks together. You cannot combine the 60 with the 36 and the 25. So what you have to do is bring these two on the other side. So on the other side, you're going to do 81 minus 25 minus 36. So you get 20. So you get 20 is equal to negative 60 cosine of B. And then you're looking for cosine of B. So you need to get rid of your negative 60. There's a multiplication here in between, so you divide by negative 60. So here minus 20 over 60, you can simplify that minus 1/3. That's cosine of B. So to get your B is equal to, B here will be equal to cosine negative 1 of negative 1 over 3. So you're going to get 109.47. So if you round 0.5. So there's a little bit of a difference from what we did with the sine rule. Okay. So there you go for your angle B. And to find angle C, you would do 180 minus the other two. So you would be able to find angle C is 180 minus 31.6 minus 109.5, you would get 38.9. So that's slightly or close enough from what we got in the previous one. So have fun working with sine and cosine law now.